So what is 818567 multiplied by 23?
818567 multiplied by 63 would be
23. 23.
Okay. 818567 multiplied by 23 would be 18,827,041.
You know, whenever there is a mention of mathematics, students usually get shivers, and it takes a toll on many students to just pass the grade in some cases. Now, today we have a very special guest joining us, Neelkantha Bhanu Prakash, our very own math prodigy. So this 20-year-old graduate of mathematics honors from St. Stephen College has bagged and become the first world's fastest human computer after bagging gold for India in the Mental Calculation World Championship. So thank you for joining us, Bhanu.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And I think India has won its first gold with you, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. So in terms of this Mind Sports Olympics, which happens, the Mind Sports Olympiad, which happens in London every year, it's been 23 years since it started, and I did bag the first gold for India. Although, India has been quite active in its sense of, let's say, doing its calculations. There are a lot of kids who are actually picking up in this meanwhile. But yeah, it's good to be the first one who's actually brought home a gold. And yeah, while this is a very significant motive showcase, I hold 4 world records and 50 Limca records as well, which made me the fastest human calculator a few years before this actually happened.
Yeah, I was about to come there. And also, if I'm not wrong, MSO is one of the most prestigious international competition for games of mental skill and mind sports. And so my question is, how did it take you to achieve this recent feat?
Okay, so I would say that I didn't really do anything different this time. This is something which I have been doing for a long while. And in fact, it's also something which I probably want to say is that this is my first attempt at MSO. I mean, I've been active in the mental calculation field for a while, but this is the first time I actually went there. And it was a great experience because I practiced for like an hour a day for a month. But again, translating from being the fastest human calculator record-wise into living up to one day is, I think, the difference in the transition. I knew that I was going to win it, but it's just that the depth was about making sure that everything goes right this time. And if you see, even the margins were quite significant. I mean, I finished at 167 and 102 was the second and the third place, coincidentally, I mean, going down. So, yeah.
So when did you come to know you had this immense interest in mathematics?
So, I mean, I would say that I'll probably divide this answer into 2 segments. One is arithmetic and mathematics. And why do I differentiate something which we can probably look into? I met with an accident when I was 5, and I was bedridden for an entire year. My parents were told that I might be cognitively impaired. And eventually, so that's the reason why I brought puzzle books home and I started working on them. I was quite great to see that what started off as an existential crisis eventually went on to be something which had my set of adrenaline rushes with. So I took part in the regionals, nationals, and the internationals championships respectively across years. And by the time I was 13, I was the international speed arithmetic championship in my category, which was back then the juniors. So how did I realize all of this was, I think, one, chance encounter, and being a mathematician, I believe in probabilistic occurrences. So yeah, that chance encounter made me hit math for the first time. But that love stayed for a long while because understanding how mathematics as a subject and as an art form has so many applications in not only science, technology, but also in understanding human brain and human cognition just made me stick to it for a long time.
So tell us about your first demonstration.
Back when first demonstration, as in the first time I did it?
The first time, yeah.
Okay. This is actually quite an interesting story. So not a lot of people took me seriously back then when I was doing calculations, because not even me myself took myself seriously, because back then it was just something which is like my kid just does good calculations. It's just something to flaunt to your math teacher, and that's just pretty much about it. From there, transitioning to all this way, it started somewhere. So my first performance was when I was invited to this school called Sri Prakash Synergy School, which is in Rajahmundry, which is in the rural countryside of Andhra Pradesh. how did I get there was because one of my mentors who was guiding me through, let's say, calculations and abacus and stuff like this, because I did abacus at SIP Academy. Although I personally don't think that that's the only way which I'm here, but it did contribute significantly towards understanding numbers and competing in it, because otherwise there is no institution which competes. So one of my mentors actually became the principal of the school. So she's like, Bhanu, let's inspire some kids in the school. Okay. So I go there. I'm 13 years old, if I recall it right. And there's a full 1 hour long presentation on a board in front of students with around, I think around 1500 to 1600 students. And then there were teachers and professors, and obviously there was a lot of students who were doing this. And coincidentally, that was also the first time I actually had a kid come up to me, and I was a kid myself, come up to me and say that they wanted an autograph. So I think I started signing autographs. So I think that's what changes the perspective. A mathematician signing autographs is not usual. So yeah.
Okay. You have a startup which is working in association with the Telangana government. So what all work has been done so far? And what is this startup about?
Sure. So Exploring Infinities is a company which I founded back in 2018, because I thought that my learnings of being the fastest human calculator had to be translated into something which people can learn from. The reason why this came up was because the mental calculators of yesterday did not have the bandwidth nor the reach to tell people how they did what they did, except for a few things which they've talked about, a few puzzle books which I've come across, which made these big people role models. So Exploring Infinities was founded as a way in which I learned mathematics, and it helped me in overall brain development, and how this journey can be mimicked at a much more easier way, because I struggled my way through because there's no direction. I struggled my way through all the way to the top because I personally didn't have any reference point. So with Exploring Infinities, we have interacted and have touched over 10,000 kids as of now, in making them realize that one, math as a sport promotes interest in kids. The other thing is that the games help you sort of understand that math is not just a subject which is rather far off, but something which can be implemented in things around us. So yeah, I mean, we started off there, but today we have our courseware, we have our workshops, we have people and kids who actually get trained from in cognitive ability development through a set courseware across the world. I mean, we have people from UK, the US, and a lot of Indians also. The Telangana government, although, is the social sector wing of it, which I think forms the major part. Our work with the Telangana government has started in the year 2019, 2018. Is when, it started on a humid, rainy day when I actually went to a government school, and I realized that all my learnings, all my teacher abilities, which I've been teaching people, stand no chance of being expressed if the things are not corrected as the way they are. Because when I tried to go teach double-digit multiplications, I realized that students in these government schools did not understand that multiplication was repetitive addition. Yes, they could solve questions, but 42 plus 42 plus 42 is 42 times 3. No, 4 out of every 5 kids did not know this, and I'm talking 8th grade. So this sort of hit a nerve when I said that arithmetic learning and arithmetic literacy is something which we take too much for granted. And since then, we have promoted a couple of projects, Project Arithmetic Literacy. We have carried programs of over 300 to 400 sessions across 60 government schools in Hyderabad, Telangana region. And very recently, in the time of lockdown, we thought that we could enable remote learning by broadcasting on TV. So we have created math lecture content of over 700 hours in Hindi, English, Telugu, Urdu, and Bengali, the last 2 languages still being worked on. And I've been broadcasting it through the Telangana government's official broadcasting service, which goes to every single village in Telangana on TV at a certain airtime. So yeah, I think I would say that our work with the government, Exploring Infinities, is the math education partner, the official math education partner to the government of Telangana. And I would say we've just started. We've just started.
So, you say, I was going through the article, you said that you want to eradicate math phobia, and what you also call vision math. So in what way do you intend to help students, especially the government school students?
Sure. So students in general are the same across. It's just that the resources they have are very different from each other. So I would say that math phobia, and why does it stem, is because, I mean, broadly speaking, child cognition, a child from the age of 3 all the way till the age of 14 learns and gets strong in two basic cognitive, what do we say, indexes, which I want to talk about. One is language, the other is numeracy. So literacy and numeracy are the two pillars of development in terms of what a child develops. Literacy is fine, reason being that we've been working on it. There are several projects in India which have been working extensively promoting vernacular language usage, talking about literacy in mother tongue and stuff like this. So at the end of the day, literacy transforms into a lot of things. People who like talking, people who like poetry, people who like stories, people who like storytelling. Do we start teaching a kid language by talking about grammatical syntaxes in KG1? No, we do not. But we do that with maths. We start with them trying to solve problems, then wander around the realm of what mathematics is. So that fundamentally is the reason why no one's scared of language, but everyone's scared of math. That's because we promote it as an enabler to be in this capitalistic world ahead, which is, let's say, you learn math, become a scientist. Learn math, become an engineer. Learn math, become a technology guy. We never talk math as a skill set which is very close to our heart. And I would say enabling math phobia, enabling and eradicating math phobia is possible only when the narrative of what math education means for the country and the world changes. The definition from implying and talking about what mathematics should a kid know, implying learning outcomes and what we need, basically forcing them onto a child, which will eventually make them good mathematicians, is the standard point which we have. Scare them, tell them that it's important, which is the most vague thing ever. I mean, we tell them that math is important. It's just that we don't tell them how. We just tell them that it will eventually help you to become a technology guy, a computer scientist. But that would not ring a bell. And a good analogy is, as I mentioned, language. You don't tell a kid you learn grammatical structures because you can appreciate art later. You talk about the art first. And that promotion, math as an art form, math as a way in which you interact with the world around you, just like how you develop communication, is the only way ahead to eradicate math phobia. We have done it with 10,000 kids. We will do it with a lakh more. And Vision Math is to do it with 1 crore of kids in India, 100 million, and go ahead, start from 1 crore, go to 10 million, and 10 million 1 crore. Okay, I've mixed the numbers up. Start from 1 million and then go all the way till 10 crores. Eradicate math phobia one step at a time by making people interested in this art form, which people have made it a little too much of a science.
So yeah. This is an amazing gift that you have. How does it help you in your day-to-day life?
All right. So at the end of the day, I would take a step back here and say, one is that, I mean, in terms of, let's say, if a lot of people ask me, are you blessed by your talent? And I would say, yes, I am blessed by the way in which I've sort of had experience with mathematics. I would thank people of how I have navigated through the understanding of mathematics, all the skill I have built. And replicating this across people is quite possible, because that's exactly what I've been working on from 2016 to 2019 on the applications of what this is. Because Bhanu, you do calculations. A calculator can do calculations. How does this help the world? How does this even help you? Is a question which I got very significantly when I broke my world records. And this is something which I banged my head on. And I later realized that the analogy, and the most important analogy which I try to bring to the table, is when Usain Bolt runs, you don't ask him why he is running when he has a car. It's because we are celebrating the art of physical fitness. And while he runs, he's establishing a fact that a human body is capable of doing as much. And very similar to what I have right now is that I can think as quick, and this can translate into anything else. I mean, while I talk to you, I can do a lot of other stuff. Let's say I'm talking to Devyani, I'm talking to the Logical Indian, and I'm doing 48, 96, 144. I'm adding 48s to 48s. And I'm still talking to you, and I'm at a 384, 432, 480. And I'm going ahead, I'll still prove my point, and I'm at 672, 720. And what I'm saying is parallel thinking is possible. And this is a gift which is just an implication of what math can mean, 1008, 1056. So how am I doing this is that this calculation, the calculation abilities just make us way more observant of the world around us. And this makes us, in fact, I would say math is, for me, it has been a way in which I am more actively in the moment than a lot of people. And this includes me talking and observing the number of metro pillars I pass by, me observing on the number of taxis which pass by me. Because this kids do. When you're a kid, you walk in a park, you step on stones in an alternate fashion, or probably hop around. This kid, I mean, human beings in general want to make sense out of stuff. But that's how it is. And for me, I would say, I started off as an arithmetician. I started off as a mathematician. Today, I am also a bachelor's graduate in pure mathematics, not just arithmetic. And I would say the arithmetic which I learned has made me start looking at the world which I never have and which I wouldn't have otherwise. And that made me a good orator. That made me a good speaker. That made me a good business guy. And that made me a good performer in a lot of other things which are remotely related. So math as a way to develop cognitive abilities, and cognitive abilities are what imply and change the way in which our lives generally go, is the narrative ahead. Yeah.
We have very few laurels when it comes to mental calculation or per se mathematics. So of the champions of 13 countries you challenged, what is your impression of them?
Oh, all of them are fantastic. Okay, so the one standard thing is mental calculators in general have a very interesting mind. And this is something which you would have probably observed with, if you studied any mental calculators of the past, be it Shakuntala Devi, our own Shakuntala Devi, and how she worked around what her viewpoints on society and stuff. I mean, fascinating how arithmetic competence can lead to a lot more holistic, wholesome individual. So all these 13 people I compete from come from variously different backgrounds. A lot of them are not mathematicians by profession. A lot of them are musicians, artists, and sometimes in fact, a few people are students who are just working on this. So the kind of people these people are, they're very fascinatingly interesting people, and my encounter with every single one of them has been great so far. And I would say that the only thing which I personally feel that mental calculators in general, not these 30 people in general, but there is a community. I mean, mental calculators, it's not just me or let's say XYZ. There are thousands of people who are actually working along these lines and are competing on a global level. The only thing is that a lot of mental calculators make it result centric. So let's say if I am running a race, the objective should not be to reach the goal. The objective should be that I'm running to reach the goal. So several lot of times, let's say I am a sprinter and the objective is to reach 100 meters. I can go in a car. I can use roller skates. I can do something else also and get there. But that does not mean that we are doing right to mental calculation, nor are we improving our brain's capabilities. And in a certain way, these shortcut methodologies, these things which people are fascinated by, in the Indian average crowd, if you're a student in India and you've heard of Bhanu Prakash, you probably want to learn those 5 tricks which will make you quick in mathematics, which I am telling you would not do anything. Yes, I will tell you how to do that, but that does not change anything, because I'm telling you that you should run, and I'm giving you skates to do so, and you're feeling that at the end of the day you're running, which does not help the cause, because reaching the destination is not as important. So I would say that slowly the mental calculators are also sort of shifting towards how cognitive abilities are what the end goal of this particular exercise is. Just like how weightlifting, push-ups and pull-ups and sprints are to physical exercise and sports, math is that to mental power. And I think that's the only thing which I have with the mental calculation community at large, which is still pivoting. But otherwise, I would say the interactions with these people are phenomenal. I mean, when you discuss and have face-offs with each other and probably go do stuff like this, I think for me, that's my badminton, that's my tennis, and that's my everything else.
So, I think audience is eager to know that how is your day like, and how has of course I want to know how your journey has been so far, but how is your day like? What do you like with the practices and everything that goes?
Today, or are we talking pre
Almost every
competition?
day, you can say. During the
Okay, so
competition
in
as
that
well,
way,
but almost
guys,
on everyday
yeah.
basis.
Yeah. Also, guys, I mean, just so that everyone knows, I'm not a geek. I'm not a nerd. I wear T-shirts and I flaunt a lot of things which I think every one of us does. So I'm a 20-year-old. I'm a Netflix buff. I have all the subscriptions to Prime, Netflix, and Hotstar at the same time. I consume series on and on again. I watch The Office almost once every month to a certain capacity, at least one season. So
Mhm.
I would say that my day usually starts off quite early. I just graduated out of college in the online board exams, online open book exams. So in my college, I used to go to my college, chill with friends, come back, and probably my exercise and my entire runs of practicing majorly is never scripted. It's more of, let's say, I'm in the moment. What arithmetic can I do? And this can be just me being here right now, having a conversation, and trying to do some exercise on the back end, so that at the end of the day, training does not happen when you put the rigor in it. The rigorous training is required when we go to a competition. But
Okay.
on the other side, I enjoy my life extensively. I travel, I go around. My average day, I spend 3 to 4 hours with my friends. I go on trips. We have extensively big beer parties where we have math and chugging parties together. We do all this stuff. I mean, I'm not sure whether I'm, again, cut uncut. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that, but my friends and my community is such where we have games like Bhanu, let's see how drunk you can get until you do a math question wrong. So that's my routine. That's how I go about, and I enjoy art. I enjoy consuming, what do we say, a lot of series online. I go about on drives, and yeah, that should be it. I explore a lot of things which I think people do not know about me. I headed a startup in the ice cream sector when I was 14. So
Okay.
I started off an ice cream store in Hyderabad because I loved ice creams, from the prize monies which I've gotten and a couple of supports from my family. That ran for 5 years. So it's called the Mr. Ice Creamers, and we just closed by very recently. But major part of my life, I was into figuring out desserts. I consume a lot of food. I'm an absolute dessert fan, and yeah, in that sense, I would say, what does everyone do? I do all of them, and
So now that you have a sorry to cut you, you have a startup, and you have with an intention to help students in government schools. So what is your message for students, that how do they eradicate this math phobia, and how do
I
they
would say,
develop this interest?
yeah, I would say the first thing is that math, I would say, is an ocean. The ocean has a lot of corals, a lot of reefs, a lot of secret islands, and a lot of other stuff which you might be fascinated about and probably will take a lifelong beach vacation at. I'm sure. It's just that the first waves which hit you, which is arithmetic, scares people and puts them on shore. You
Okay.
never really blend in. So what I would say is that the noise which the ocean makes on the shore is not quite as much once you enter and find that you're comfortable around this realm. So I think the first push should be about how you can start loving the subject, and that need not happen from the teachers which you have. That need not happen from the academia which you go to, because I think if you start wandering around, probably if you are a music buff, probably if you dance, probably if you listen to hip hop, the time you're listening to Despacito, just observe your leg, how it's tapping on the floor, give it a certain thought, give it a count, and I think you're on the journey. So at least appreciating mathematical thought is not when someone sits with a pen or paper. I don't do that. I hope no one does it, because that's not how you appreciate a subject. We appreciate a subject when we see that in the world around us. Look at my hand gestures right now. How many times have I gone? Does Banu's hand gestures go in circles? Does it go in squares? Is there a method? This is just something me thinking out loud right now. But this is how you start liking the subject, by looking and deliberately fitting it into your life. And you would not realize it, months of this where you see the best and the quickest methods. And that's something which I post on my Instagram. What are the methods in which you can see the world around you with this lens? You will just find that this subject is beyond what the books are. The books just teach you one shore. There is a lot of silent retreats on the inside, which which I would want every single one of you to explore.
So I
And
think
that's something I want to push for. Math being an art form, math being a way of thought, and math being a glass through which you look at the world. Just like Chomsky says, watching the world through the language glass. Let me just say, watching the world through the mathematical and the quantitative glass. It just changes who we are. A global movement which I'm trying to put forth, which changes the way in which math education is defined, how the objectives of it are defined, and how people across the globe, because math education is a real problem. I mean, everyone has it. Math phobia is prevalent in 3/4 of the world population. And this can be changed when the narrative around why math education is the way it is, and how this can be narrated in the sense that let's look at the world around us using math. Let's not go towards how the end goals are, but about how we can understand and experience math and start loving it. And vision math, as I said, is what we would want to push a global movement for and impact how the policy, how the definitions of what the education is or what the learning outcomes we want, also connecting it with what the industry wants, but at least making this experience of learning for a child way more lovely than what it is, and create a generation of not great mathematicians, I'd say a generation of people who are in love with the subject.
I think a lot of changes are needed in terms of how parents even approach their kids and the education system itself. So I have a couple of questions for you, if I can go ahead with it.
Sure, absolutely, hit me up.
All right. So what is 43 multiplied by 432,408 divided by 72068 plus 139?
That'll be 397.
Okay, another one. What is 26 multiplied by 306384 divided by 51064 plus 196?
That'll be 352.
Absolutely. I don't know how you do that, but it's been a pleasure having you at the Logical Indian, and hope we see more and more of math prodigies from India, especially coming from your organization. Thank you for joining us, Bhanu. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Yes.